They got him, y'all. The Nigerians done scammed my daddy. Let me tell y'all what happened. Story time. So now you don't have to have a seat for this one because this is crazy how this happened and what really happened. And I literally had to get the cops involved because it got so out of hand, right? All right, so this started back a few years ago, right? If you don't know, my name is Shandy and I tell stories. My stories are usually true stories, and this one is for the books, okay? So basically, a few years back, right? So I was at my sister's. So, well, technically, my sister and I, we live in the same house, but in two different units, right? And my dad lives about less than 10 minutes away from us. So he's always over by our house. So this particular day, he says to us, hey, y'all are getting a new stepmother. And we're like, okay, whatever. And then he's like, and she's white. Y'all are getting a new white stepmother. And I'm like, we're like, okay, whatever. Congratulations to you. We don't care. And then he whips out his phone and he shows us the picture, right? No big deal. This picture was, we don't care. So, and we kind of left it at that. But as time goes by, we didn't dig into it or ask him too much questions about it. We just kind of joked it off like, okay, here he go again with some craziness, right? But then like as time goes by, he would occasionally say the same thing. I have this white girlfriend and she's going to be your new stepmother. Before we get to that, my dad is married to somebody else. Okay? So that's why we kind of like joked it off and like didn't think too much into it. We're just like, okay, whatever. He said he's getting married. We're not married. We're getting a new stepmother and we don't care. Right? And then over time, eventually got to a point where my dad actually moved in with us. Well, really moved in with my sister, really, right? But again, remember I said we live in the same house, just different unit. So we're always around each other. And we talk about stuff we joke about. So then one day finally he brought it up again. You're getting a new white stepmother. And my brother-in-law was around, and my brother-in-law said, listen, you and your sister needs to start paying attention to what your dad is saying and what he's doing. He's retiring soon and he's going to be getting his pension soon. Y'all need to make sure when he gets his pension, y'all pay attention to what he does with his money because he's wasting his money. Again, I personally didn't think too much into it. I was like, okay, whatever, right? Okay, so then at this point, my dad, before all this happened, he was always come to me. I remember like before he moved and everything, occasionally he would come to me and say, hey, could you help me reset my password for my bank account because the bank locked my account and I can't get in. The bank locked my account and I can't get in. And I need to call the bank to reset my password to get in. Can you help me with that? And what I would do, I would get on his phone, I would call the bank, put it on speakerphone and have him there, and they'll walk us through the step to reset his password. The thing is, this happened a couple of times, like every couple of months or so, this same thing would happen where he would say, can you help me reset my password to get into my bank account? And I'm like, sure, no problem, right? It never occurred to me that something was going on. He just said the bank told him somebody tried to get his account somewhere out in Arizona. We lived at the time in New Jersey, and I'm like, okay. And I used to say to him, that's odd. You don't have no money. So why would somebody be hacking into your account? Of all the accounts they're hacking into your account, right? And I didn't dig too deep into it until my brother-in-law, not my stepbrother. My brother-in-law was like, oh, you guys need to start paying attention to what he's doing with his money. Now, my brother-in-law and my dad, they're actually pretty close. So he knows more about what's going on with him personally in certain aspect because he will tell him, he won't tell me or my sister, right? Okay, so he's okay, pay attention to what he's doing when he got his money. So it got to a point now once he moved in. Another thing was his cell phone. His cell phone bill was always really, really high. Now my dad has the same cell phone number since the early 90s, right? And it got to a point where now his phone bill was so high. And I'm like, why? You've had this phone for so long. You had this phone for like 20 years. Why is your phone bill so high? Like, call Sprint and figure out why your phone bill is so high. But it turns out he was making long distance calls to Jamaica, right? And we'll tell him, go buy a phone card for like $5 or $2 and use that card to call long distance so you don't run up your phone bill. And he didn't listen. So, and that would help him pay his phone bill. But after a while, I was like, listen, I'm not going to have you pay your phone bill anymore. You need to buy these phone cards. If it's so desperate you need to call Jamaica, you need to buy the little phone cards and call Jamaica and call your family in Jamaica. And when it's done, it's done. Don't call directly from your phone because it's too expensive. He didn't listen, and eventually his phone bill got so high he couldn't pay it. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm not paying it no more. So he lost his phone, right? The phone got turned off. He couldn't put it back on. So at the time, my brother-in-law's cell phone was in my dad's name. It was in a different phone company, but it was in his name. So what my dad ended up doing, he never tell my brother-in-law. He just went to the phone company and added himself to my brother-in-law phone line. And the way he did it, I guess when he went by himself. He didn't explain to the people at the phone store that he's adding a line. So what the people at the phone store ended up doing was shut off my brother-in-law's phone and gave him a new number without saying nothing. So he came home with a new phone. Turns out my brother-in-law's phone wasn't working. He couldn't figure out why his phone wasn't working. So he called. They told him, hey, he can't. Your father-in-law came in and got a new line and shut this one off. So they ended up figuring it out, and they fixed it. He got his phone back. Brother-in-law got his phone back. Dad got a new phone. Now they're on the same phone plan. My dad is supposed to be paying his cell phone. So it happens where he wasn't paying the bill, and my brother-in-law like, where does your money go? Because at this point now he's starting to get in Social Security, and it's like he gets a check every month, and it's like he don't have any bills to pay. He don't have no rent. He don't have no utilities. He lives with my sister, so he don't have any bills. He don't have a car, so he don't have car payment. He don't have car insurance. He don't have any of that, right? So where's his money going, right? So it got to a point where my brother-in-law a lot of times would have to pay my dad's phone bill for him, because if he doesn't pay it, then his phone's going to be shut off because they're in the same phone plan, right? And that's what my brother-in-law kept saying, hey, you guys need to pay attention to what he's doing with his money. Something's not right. So this all happened, and then he started telling us about the white girlfriend he has. And we're like, okay. So one day, at the time, I got a new job at a hospital working close to home. So because my job was so close to home and my dad didn't have a car, I would he would take me to work and keep my car the whole day and just pick me up from work. And then this at the same time, he was able to drop his grandkids off at school and pick them up because now he has the car. So one day I needed my car like halfway through work. I had a doctor's appointment or something. I said, hey, bring me the car. So he brought me the car halfway through my work day, and he left. He walked home. After he dropped the car off and I took the keys, I didn't like the spot where he parked the car in, so I went to go move the car and park it somewhere else. When I did this, I realized he left his phone in my car. And that's where the problem came. That's where I realized what was really happening. I just said, let me go through his phone. First, I tried calling from my phone, call his cell phone to leave a message on his voicemail. That way I said when he gets home, he'll realize he's missing his phone. He'll call and check his messages, and he'll get my message that, hey, you left your phone. You left your phone in your daughter's car, and I have the phone, right? So I did all that. He didn't call back nothing. Even though there's a phone at home he could call, he didn't call. He didn't worry about it. Anyway, right? So I went through the phone. Me going through the phone is what started the shit show. Me going through the phone is when I started seeing all the messages and everything of him talking to this lady, and she's constantly asking for money, and he's sending her money. And it wasn't just her. It was like other people claiming they're from the IRS. And what was happening with his money is when he gets his one check a month, he was taking that check, going to the store, buying gift cards, and then scratching these gift cards off and taking pictures of these gift cards and sending to these people. And it wasn't just the lady in his phone that he was saying he was going to get married to. It was other people as well, right? And there's one guy claiming he's from the IRS, and he's telling him, you have to you owe these back taxes that you have to pay. Go buy this gift card and then send it to us. And he did. So when he couldn't pay his phone bill, this is where his money was going, right? Just come back for part 2.